Okay, hi everyone, and today we are going to analyze a game between me and Stockfish of AI level 6, that is rating 2300. And it's a very interesting game, and you will develop interest into the game as we proceed. So, I am with the white pieces, and Stockfish is with the black pieces. And I start this game with d4, the queen's pawn opening. Knight to f6, the Indian game. C4, going for the Indian game again, and d5 now, transposing into a queen's gambit decline, martial defense. Knight to c3, by me, e6, now transposing it in the queen's knight variation of queen's gambit decline, bishop to g5, now going for the modern variation where the bishop pins this f6 knight, uh, c6, all theory moves, and now e3. Okay, this move is a very strengthening move. It strengthens the center. It also develops knight to f3. Also, if d captures on c4, then bishop captures on c4 is a plan, of course, which happens in the game. You have d captures on c4, bishop captures on c4, and now knight to d7. Okay, knight to b6 is an idea, bishop to b4 is an idea, uh, knight to f3, and now bishop to e7. Yeah, getting rid of this nasty pin. Castles and castles. And if you see this position, it's completely uh, good position for white. If you see the meter, it's plus 1.04, so it's uh, all the more good. And okay, now we can go for rook to c1, followed with a3 to avoid any bishop to b4 threats. You can go rook to e1 followed with e4, and the center will be completely in the control of white. Rook to c1, and now b5. Okay, now attacking this bishop. In future, a5 followed with b4 may also be a threat. Bishop back to e2, and now bishop to b7. Now also preparing rook to c8 with c5 and opening this attack on this knight with the bishop. Bishop captures on f6, knight captures on f6, and now knight to e5. Okay, so this is a very good outpost for this knight, and that is why I played knight to e5, a6, and now bishop to f3, trying to exchange of this strong bishop with this light squared bishop. Bishop to d6, and here he feel that he has given up this pawn, but this it comes with a very good tactic where you will see it. Your knight captures on c6, bishop captures on h2 with a check, king captures on h2, bishop captures on c6, bishop captures on c6, and now queen to d6 with a check. So this is a check, and it will also picking up this bishop on this c6 square. f4, you have queen captures on c6, and now rook to f3. Okay, so all this which Stockfish has done in order to gain the piece back may lose him some tempos, but if you see the meter, he has suddenly changed the position from plus 1.04 to minus 0.95. So okay, he evaluates this position as good for black. You have rook to c8, a3 preventing b4, rook f to d8, and now queen to e1. Now my plan is to go rook to h3, followed with queen to h4. Knight to g4 with a check, king back to g1, and now queen back to b7. You have queen to h4, attacking this knight, and now f5. Okay, supporting this knight, also taking control of this e4 square, preventing me from pushing e4. Rook to g1, rook to g3, sorry. And here I had already decided that I want to give up this exchange because this strong knight on g4 can't be allowed to stay there for a long time. King to h8, and now rook captures on g4. F captures, and now queen captures on g4. You have queen to f7, rook to f1, now also threatening f5 here. h6 now, and knight to e4. Okay, centralizing the knight. We have queen to f5, you have queen captures, f captures, and a knight to c5. Again, getting a good outpost for the knight. Rook to e8, king to f2, now centralizing the king, king to g8, king to e2, a5, and now king to d3. And now already you can see white has already centralized the king. Rook to c6, rook to f2, king to f7, and knight back to b3. Okay, attacking this pawn here. Rook to e6 now. Rook c to e6 now, also threatening rook captures on e3. Rook to e2, first defending this e3 pawn. a4 by black, and the knight back to c5. And you will notice this is very good outpost. This pawn is supporting this knight, and black has to give back this exchange in order to get rid of this knight. Rook back to d6, king to c3 now, and now b5, and sorry, g5. And okay, now he wants to play this captures, and you can't capture it back because your rook is hanging on e2. So knight back to d3, now preparing knight captures on f4. Rook to e4, and knight back to c5. And at this point of time, I had made up my mind for a draw because there's no way out of it. He will repeat it, rook back to e8, knight back to d3, and it can be a draw after repetition. But in this position, he decided to give up the exchange back in order to gain some positional advantage. So rook captures on d4. Of course, you can't capture with the pawn because you lose your rook. So knight captures on e4. Rook to c4 check first. King back to d2, and now f captures on e4. Okay, but this entire exchange has just gave me some advantage. It has also led to a drawish position. F captures on g5, h captures on g5, rook to f2 check, king to e6, and now g4, avoiding any king to f5 ideas in future. Rook to c5, now comes rook to f8, king to d6, rook to e8, now attacking this pawn here, uh, rook to e4, rook to d5 check, king to e2, and now rook to e5, the only way to defend this pawn. Rook captures, king captures, king to d2 again. Now my plan is clear. I want to go to c3 to b4, but it's very difficult. King to d6, king to c3, and king to d5. Yes, king to b4, and now king to c6. And it's a type of zugzwang position here where I don't have any moves except b3, and that is what I played in the game. B3, a captures on b3, king captures on b3, and now king to b6. King back to b4, king to c6, and now a4. And this is a completely drawish position whereby it's the common move is to take this pawn, king captures, and then play king c5, king b3, king b5, and keep on taking the opposition because neither black nor white has any trial or waste moves in this position. So b captures on a4, king captures on a4, and king to c5. Okay, and so this is a completely drawish position, but this is what disadvantage the engines have, that they miss some lines, and that is why even Stockfish, after playing so good in this entire game, he missed a line. King to b3, and now the correct move was to play king to b5, but he plays king to d5, and as you can see, this meter is now plus 2.61 because this is the blunder which I was talking about. Now comes king to b4, and if you see, now the king has nowhere to go in order to come closer to this king. King to c6, and now comes king to c4, and now the plan is clear. I will just go grab this pawn, then go grab this pawn, and then I will be 2 pawns up, so it will be a clearly winning endgame for me. King to d6, king to d4, king back to e7, king captures on e4, king to d6 again. He doesn't have any option. Better was king to e6, but then still after king to d4, king to d6, and then e4, the position would be completely in my control because I am a pawn up. If you see the meter, it's plus 49.1. So okay, king to f5. Now even this square is available for the king. Now preparing e4, e5, and e6 straight away. Um, king to e7, e4, king to d6, and now king to f6. Um, in this position, e5 could have been winning, but I didn't want to take any risk because uh, there's always, it's better to push the pawns when all the three squares are in control. So for now, these two squares were in my control. So after king to f6, even the e7 square comes in my control. So king to f6, king to c5. Now the engine starts playing random moves because yeah, when they know that they are going to lose, they don't resign. Of course, they play some random moves and lose the game. So e5, king to b5, e6, king to c6, e7, king to d7, of course, stopping this e8 queen idea. And now the most obvious move, king to f7, now uh, threatening e8 is equal to queens. uh, King to d6, e8 queens with a check, without check, sorry. King to c5, and now the simple theory, as we all know, queen to d7, king to b6, queen to c8, king to b5, and now it's better to mate this king in this corner because our king is much closer and can come in minimum number of moves. So that is what I did. Queen to c3, king to b6, now king to c4, now sheltering this king into this corner, uh, which I have marked. So king to a5, king to e6, king to b6, king to d6, now just centralizing my king, moving it closer to the black king. King to b7, queen to c5, again now taking these two squares in the control, king to b8, and now king to c6. Now putting him in zone. Okay, wherever you go, there is mate. If you go king to c8, you have a mate in one after queen f8 checkmate, as the king can't escape via any of the squares. So, okay, king to a8 by Stockfish, uh, queen a5 check, king to b8, and now anyway this mate into forced mate into queen to b6 check, king to 8, and queen to b7 with the checkmate. So uh, of course the king can't capture the queen, the king has no fleeing squares, so it's a checkmate. Okay, so that was the game. And although Stockfish AI of level 6, that is of rating 2300, played a quite good game, still a simple blunder in the end game cost black a point. And of course any blunder in a chess game can uh, make you lose the game, because even a single blunder is quite uh, enough to lose the entire point. So hope so you enjoyed it. Do subscribe our channel for uh, more such interesting games, and share it, like it, and comment below in order to tell us that how you feel and what you could learn from our chess videos. Thank you.